Why did Jesus curse an innocent fig tree? Well, to understand that, it helps to know that before the time of producing 4 figs, a fig tree becomes particularly leafy. And just before or around the time of becoming particularly leafy, it produces early fruit known as Braber figs. Now, these Braber figs aren't the full figs that will come later, but they're an early harvest and the guarantee that the full figs will come later. So when a fig tree is so leafy that you can see it is in leaf from a distance, this means that it's had so much opportunity and time to grow that it should have produced the early harvest Braber figs, which are also a guarantee that it will produce the full figs later down the line. Although Jesus was hungry, he couldn't have expected there to be full figs on the tree because it wasn't the season for figs. So he came to the tree at the time that he had need of its early harvest Braber figs, which its leaves said that it was supposed to have. So when he curses a tree for having nothing but leaves, he's cursing it for having 0 Braber figs, not 0 full figs. And I don't think he curses a tree so that it can't produce full figs. He curses it because it can't produce full figs ever again. And the reason it can't produce full figs is because if it hasn't produced even the early harvest by the time of being super leafy, it will never produce those early harvest Braber figs and therefore will never produce the full harvest full figs that come after the early harvest. So because it's in the Bible, I do believe Jesus saw a literal fig tree and cursed it and it withered and died. Nevertheless, the bigger point is that the fig tree represents the people of Israel at the time, and the failure to produce any early figs or fruit at all represents Israel's inability to be productive for God. There was a structural problem with the tree. No matter how leafy it got and how much time passed, it could never produce the early harvest Braber figs. Similarly, there was a structural problem with Israel. No matter how leafy it got in terms of developing religious institutions and rituals and having the appearance of being productive for God, and no matter how much time it had to do so, it was never actually productive for God in the little he'd asked them to do. And that was evidence they would never be productive for God in the much he would ask them to do come the time of the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. And so that generation of Israel became useless to God. So